Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome back to Lorcana Craze and another episode of Themes and You. I know it's been a while since I've posted. A lot has been going on, but finally, I'm able to get back to it, bring you guys some fun little deck techs here and there, and really just do a small dive in to some of these themes. So, last week, we played Amber Sapphire Puppies. So there I have a couple lists to show you. They do range in price and their ability to compete. So we're going to start off with just a pure themed budget puppies deck. This particular version is really, really fun, especially if you're sitting in a multiplayer match, you're sitting on the kitchen table, other people playing themes. Super fun, super kind of weird and wonky with the things it wants to do. But can definitely win very, very quickly if your opponents are not careful. So, with this list, we opted to try to keep it, like I said, budget, so that way people, it's easier to afford and you can have some fun without some of those more oppressively expensive cards. So, in this list, we have 4 Patch, 2 Stitch in the 1-drops, along with Canine Crunchies. All 3 of those cards, very, very good. The Stitch is very important to give us a draw engine. I do suggest that if you do have multiples of these Stitches, that I do not, to increase them so you can increase your odds of drawing them and having your draw engine in play. So with that, the Patch is really important. The Ward is really, really nice. It can also burst lore, because while you have other puppy characters in play, this character gets a +1 lore. So questing for 2 instead of 1. And even if you play it on the 1 because of that ward, it gets to stick around until you exert it. So, Patch is our primary target for our Shift Thunderbolts. This card is important. You gotta have 4 copies in any Puppies deck. 5 cost, it's inkable, it's a 3/7. It shifts in for 3 onto a puppy. So anything with the subtype puppy, it gets to shift in on. It quests for 2 and has that bodyguard, so it can really protect some of your smaller stuff, things that you want to quest down, but if their board's a little heavy or you're playing against certain things that have rush answers, Thunderbolt's a really, really great option to have. The Stitch is there to shift in the Stitch Rockstar, so we're utilizing the Rockstar as our draw engine here, as opposed to like a Rapunzel or something else, because it's a nice, inexpensive way to draw quite a few different cards, given the right scenario. So, he is a 6 cost, inkable 3/5, it quests for 3, shifts in for 4, so you can get it as early as turn 4. Its main great thing about the Rockstar, and has always been a great thing about him, is whenever you play a character with cost 2 or less, you may exert them to draw a card. So as you can see, we run quite a few different 1-drops in the deck. We are at 22, if I'm not mistaken, so plenty of options to draw those cards. But I will say, if you do own 4 of that Stitch Rockstar, you definitely want to increase the number to 4. I only own 2, and only having 2, I didn't see him regularly enough to fill my hand up. So it was kind of like a stopping point for the deck. Very much, if you've got 4, play 4. And you can cut anything from this deck. Kind of play around with it, see what you like. We're running in the 2 slots. We have 4 different 2-drops. We've got Dalmatian Puppy Tail Wagger because it's puppies. We gotta at least play a few. Only running 6 because I feel like there's this line that if you have too many, now you're just finding them too often and it's not really working out. And if you have too few, you'll never find them. So 6 for me was a really good number. You can definitely test around others. I know some people who only run 4, some who have run 8 to 12. Just depends on how far you want to lean into it. We have 4 of the Ludwig von Drake, brand new card from set 8. This card is fantastic. Super necessary for the deck. You definitely want to try to run 3 to 4 of him. So he's 2 cost, uninkable 1/1. He quests for 1. And when you play this character, chosen opponent reveals their hand and discards a non-character card of your choice. So it's basically bare necessities on a card. We're, of course, primarily looking for removal targets. So we're looking for Be Prepareds, Storms, let the Storm rage on, Strength of a Raging Fire, Zeus, Along Came Zeus. We're looking for removal tools, or things that we have a hard time dealing with, like McDuck Manors. Also looking for libraries, any kind of location we're just wanting to take away from them. Or something that helps them continue on the game. If you notice that, you look at their hand, they've got a friend sitting in there, no other way to draw cards, definitely take the friends. In some way, we're trying to either interrupt their ability to react with us, or interrupt their ability to establish things. So, and then after that, if you didn't think he was good enough then, he has the second ability, Lasting Legacy. When this character is banished, you may put this card into your inkwell face down and exert it. Which, for something that's kind of trying to be more aggro, win a little faster, that's huge. That means I could take a turn off of inking, and save my cards in my hand, because Ludwig is ramping for me. And it just really, really useful card. And if they don't want you to ramp, you just get to sit there and quest with him. So no matter what, he gets worth from the get-go all the way to the end, even if he's answered immediately on the next turn. We're playing 2 of the small Perdidas, 2-cost inkable 1/4 quests for 1. It has the ability, while you have a puppy character in play, this character gets +1 willpower. The primary reason we're playing 2 of her is so we have an early game shift target for the bigger Perdita, which is a 6-cost inkable 4/6. She quests for 2, she shifts in on 4, which is a great shift, and has the ability, when you play this character, you may put all puppy character cards from your discard into your inkwell face down and exert it. So, honestly speaking, we're really never looking to shift her in on 4. We're looking to shift her in a little later on down the road, once we have some puppies in the discard, so we can ramp and be able to reestablish boards a bit easier. Also, she helps synergize the Pongo really, really well, trying to make him work, and honestly, he works great in a casual setting. In a meta setting, he's just a little too slow. And you'll see that whenever I show the meta version of puppies that Chat and myself had come up with. And honestly, I can't take much credit for that meta version. Chat was very huge on stream, helping me build something that can compete in the meta better. So, I say that because I always am a huge advocate for crowdsourcing your decks, your deck ideas, things that you're wanting to do, wanting to try that you may not feel may work. Crowdsourcing them is just a great option because you'll get other people to see other lines that you may have missed. So it's really awesome. Very, very much suggest doing that. We also are playing the 2-drop Trusty. 2/2 quests for 1 has support. So the support's there to help us deal with other things. We're trying to deal with high willpower characters like Rapunzel, to get rid of her with 1 person instead of 2 people. Or locations, any location, really. McDuck Manor, Rapunzel's Tower. There's just so many being played in the meta right now that you got to be able to get through them, especially if they're played at the right times when your board isn't so great. So we tried out some Trusty. The support was nice, works out well, and yeah, just really good card. After that, we enter the 3-drops. We have 4 different 3-drops in the deck. We have 4, of course, of the brand new 3-cost inkable Lady, Family Dog, 2/2 quests for 2. Has the ability, when you play this character, you can play a character from your hand with cost 2 or less for free. Huge tempo swing. Lets us go a lot wider, a lot faster, because we can play her down and play the Ludwig von Drake and take a card from them. We can play her, play the Trusty, so we can set up some support trades. Or we're playing down one of our puppies, the Tail Wagger or the Patch, so we can get Thunderbolts in play. Or even the Stitch, so we can get the Rockstar in play easier. Just the Lady sets up so many different things that she's just, if you're playing an Amber aggro deck in any way, you should really try to include at least 3 to 4 of her, if you can. And, questing for 2 is amazing. Just pushes you closer to that lore just a touch faster. She's also a huge threat on the board, so if you're trying to keep other things alive, like Lucky, or the 4-drop Perdita, or, Pongo, Stitch, there's times where they'll prioritize that lady because it quests for 2. So, fantastic card. Moving on, we have 2 of the 3-cost inkable 3/3 Anita Radcliffe. I included her mainly because of her ability. When you play this character, you may give chosen puppy character resist 1 until the start of your next turn. It's really, really helpful. Resist 1, I've always said, is just puts things out of range. That's the difference between Storm getting rid of your character or not. Or Fox challenging into your character to get rid of them. Maui challenging in to get rid of them. Resist 1 can be used in so many different ways. And there was a lot of times where I liked to do it late game where I was playing Anita, giving a puppy resist, and then shifting Thunderbolt on. Because that resist will stay until the next turn, like her ability is. So that Thunderbolt's now just that much harder to get rid of. Or giving it to Stitch and questing him down. Because now they have to commit 2 things to him just because of the resist 1. So, very, very big card to try and utilize, especially if you're running on a budget. After that, we're playing 3 of the 3-cost Lucky, Runt of the Litter, 1/3 questing for 2. When this character quests, look at the top 2 cards of your deck. You may reveal any number of puppy character cards, put them in your hand, and put the rest on the bottom of your deck in any order. It's a great way to try to grab more puppies out of the deck. We are playing quite a few. Excuse me. I will say that I did miss a few different times on the Lucky because our amount of puppies isn't as big as Lucky really likes them to be. But the questing for 2 was really helpful, and when it did find puppies, it was awesome. I was able to keep going, keep the hand going, and things like that. If you don't particularly like the Lucky, you can switch the 3-drop out for more of the 4-drop. It does work a little better with this deck, but you have to either use its ability or quest with it. So this particular Lucky is a 4-cost uninkable 2/3. It quests for 1 and has the ability Exert this character. Reveal the top 3 cards of your deck, and you can put each character card with cost 2 or less into your hand, the rest on the bottom. We're running almost half the deck. A lot of the deck, not almost half, but a lot of the deck is puppies. Or not puppies, but cost 2 or less characters. So we're able to utilize that Lucky to great effect. Also, the final ability on Lucky is really nice. So it has, whenever this character quests, if you have 4 or more other characters in play, your other characters get +1 lore this turn. It's very easy to do with a deck like this, especially when you're running the lady. Because you can go wider faster, that Lucky can really quest down nicely. I utilized him to win a couple different games. Didn't work often, so like I said, if you don't find the 3-drop really works for you or how you want to play, definitely try out adding more of the 4-drop Lucky. Because it can work a lot better in times. It's just that turn slower. So, and, hard to keep on the board just like the 3-drop is. So, definitely something you can play around with. The other 3-drop that we're playing is Pepper, the Quick Thinking Puppy. It's a 2/2, quests for 1, it is inkable, and has the ability when one of your puppy characters is banished, you can put that card into your inkwell face down and exert it. What I love about Pepper is it says when a puppy character is banished, not on your opponent's turn, or only during your turn, or only in a challenge, just when it's banished. So, we can utilize those support characters to support our puppies, challenge in and get good trades, and then ink them right after that. And that just furthers our inkwell, lets us go wider, play our bigger stuff easier and potentially quicker, and we're just getting value trades out of it. In the 4 slots, we're playing 4 of the 4-cost inkable 1/4 Perdita, Playful Mother. She quests for 2, which is nice. Her biggest reasons to be included in a pure puppies deck is her 2 abilities, though. When this character quests, you can pay 2 less for the next puppy character you play this turn. Allows us to play free tail waggers, free patches, or get Luckies or Peppers out turns earlier, or multiple things out at once. And then she not only lets us play puppy characters sooner, she gives them ward too. So as long as Perdita's out, all of our puppies are completely safe from direct targeting, which against the rubies, the steel matchups, it's super, super useful. Super useful. So after that, the other 4-drop we're playing is the Raleigh Chubby Puppy. 2-3 with support, so again, support, it helps a lot, especially in like a pure puppies deck. You need to get some higher strengths going to be able to trade well, and honestly, the only way you're really going to do that is through supporting your characters. So, and then he has a wonderful ability and just kind of keeps going with that puppies want to ramp kind of mentality. Has adorable antics. When you play this character, you can put a character card from your discard into your inkwell face down and exerted. So you just have to hope you have a character. There were times I played Raleigh and I didn't have a character in the discard. Excuse me. And yeah, it just didn't work always, but the support usually came in handy. We already talked about Thunderbolt Perdita. So with all that inking, we're inking puppies left and right. We're doing it with Perdita, we're doing it with Pepper, we're going to do it with Raleigh. You know, we are trying to make the 6-drop Pongo work. So he is a 6-cost uninkable 5/5, quests for 2, and has the ability at the start of your turn, look at the cards in your inkwell. You may play a puppy character from there for free. I really liked him when I did get to play him. The downside, against the meta, he's slow. He's just too slow. You know, the puppy ramp just isn't quick enough to keep him on the board for long. Especially into Ruby matchups, a lot of times when I played the Pongo, they would just remove him. They'd either Tremaine him away if he was the only character on my board, or they'd B-prep him, so that way I couldn't go wider. So it was definitely a fun card to play, but didn't work out. And then, of course, like I said, this is a casual budget version, you know, very much designed for that kitchen table play. You know, a multiplayer game with friends, or just, you know, you're playing against your friends with their theme decks, things like that. Works great in those instances. However, into the meta, it didn't quite work out well. It was a little too slow. We didn't have enough impactful plays. So what we did was we took the list and we're like, okay, let's overhaul it. What is the most needed things, if we're going into the meta? So what we did was we just kind of dismantle it and was like, okay, what's good, what's not? Because we need faster things. You know, if we're going to be aggro, we need to be able to try to win before B-Prep comes down, before Sisu comes down, you know, before the steel players can really get to us and really, like, get ahead of our board. So what we did was we changed it up. And this was the 3rd version. Won't bother you with the 2nd version. It worked out okay, but this 3rd version worked well. We had 3 wins that day against 3 different meta decks. I was able to beat Amber Steel aggro while I was going first, so I was just able to put that lore on there faster than they could and closed it out before they could reestablish. Amber Steel Song, I went against them on the play also, and I was able to just play most of my characters that had big willpowers and they couldn't deal with it quick enough. And then another deck that we beat was Emerald Amethyst Discard. I'll be honest, it seemed like they kind of bricked a little bit, but we did end up getting ahead of them and beating them. So here's the deck. This is definitely not a budget deck, but not too bad comparatively to some of the other, like, meta decks, if you will. So we, like I said, overhauled the whole thing. So in the 1 slots now, we're playing 2 Daisy Duck Donald's Date, 4 Nala Mischievous Cub, and 4 of the Patch. Patch, of course, is just, if you're going to play puppies, he's super, super needed. We added the Nala for the better willpower to utilize Rapunzel well. Daisy Duck also to utilize Rapunzel well. And also, when we're going against control matchups, she's still a great card to find. Not always, but there are instances where she's awesome. And in the mid to late game, she's even better because at that point, we don't care what they get. We're just closing the game out. So we dropped to 4 tail waggers because we got to keep some tail waggers in there. We are trying to play as puppy as we can, so we did keep some tail waggers in there. We went with 3 John Deere, Beloved Husband, 0-4 Inkable for 2. He has Bodyguard. Really, it's so that way we can synergize a Bodyguard in with the lady. We looked at Simba, and Simba was okay as a 2-3. We looked at some other bigger bodyguards and ultimately decided that being able to play Lady on 3 and then put our other 1s and 2 drops behind a Gym Deer was really impactful. If our opponent wasn't playing Ruby, it wasn't easy for them to get rid of. Either they had to go wide and strength it, or they had to take a couple characters to put into it, and wildly, our 1 and 2 plays were safe. So, definitely Gym Deer was a great addition. We dropped Ludwig von Drake down to 3. We're trying to keep the uninkable count kind of in order, because if we go too far, with the lack of drawing that Amber and Sapphire has, you have to try to keep that uninkable count as low as you can. So, as of right now, the uninkable count is at, let's see, 6, 9, 13, 15. Yep, we're at 15 uninkables. Any further was too many. At 15, it was still kind of rough sometimes to find our curve, but we still found it really consistently. So that's why Ludwig was dropped to a 3, still a strong card, great after a Lady. We did add 3 Piglet because, let's be honest, Piglet Pooh Pirate Captain is one of the best aggro cards in the game. While you have 2 or more other characters in play, this character quests for 2 more. So it quests for 3 pretty much all the time. It's rarely ever that Piglet doesn't have 2 other people in play with them, so they can quest for that big amount. So, and like, we try to go like turn 1 Daisy, turn 2 Piglet, turn 3 Lady into Gym Deer, questing down for 5, and it's just really oppressive. You know, puts us at 7 on turn 3, and we are able to turn around on turn 4 and quest even bigger. So, Piglet, of course, had to be added. We also put in 3 of the Anna Braving the Storm, which is a 2-cost inkable 1/4, quests for 1, and has the ability, if we have another hero character in play, this character quests for 1 more. And we have plenty of heroes to choose from in this deck. We have the Piglet, we have the Anna, we have Lady, we have Alice, Belle, Rapunzel, Thunderbolt. We have so many heroes, and Lady puts Anna online immediately. So if we drop Lady on turn 3 and then can drop the Anna right after that, she is online, ready to quest down for 2. And with her 4 willpower, we can utilize her with with Rapunzel really, really well. Try to maximize our card draw. So after the Lady, we have 4 Alice Savvy Sailor. She's just, again, if you're playing Sapphire aggro, she is a huge portion of it. She can set up turns that are just really, really nice. So 3-cost uninkable 1/4 quests for 2, has Ward, which Ward is amazing in this game. As I'm sure all of you know, the opponents not being able to choose a character other than to challenge them makes them very hard to deal with. So she's already strong at a 2-quester with 4 willpower and has natural Ward. But what makes her just that touch even better is she has the ability, whenever this character quests, another chosen character gets +1 lore this turn, and, well, not this turn, +1 lore and gains Ward until the start of your next turn. So what's really nice and what you can really set up is you can give your bodyguards Ward. They can't Zeus them now. They can't Brawl them. They can't Medusa them. They can't do anything to them. They have to challenge them now. They don't get a choice. Sure, that means they could use those removals on other cards, but if they don't have the removal, or they don't want to use a Zeus on, like, say a Lady, because that feels really bad, they have to just challenge the board now. So Alice is super awesome. She's also great if you're dropping something big that you're not exerting down immediately, and you can quest and just give that new big thing Ward. So a lot of things you can do with the Alice. I highly suggest that if you're going to play some Amber Sapphire aggro, give her a shot. See how she works out for you. After that, we do play 4 of the Belle Apprentice Eventer, the 3-drop inkable 3/3. Quests for 1. Has the ability, during your turn, you can banish chosen item of yours to play this character. So, of course, because we're playing her, we're playing Popsicle. We got 4 of them in there. A lot of times, we're not looking for her on turn 1. To be fair, she's only really a great turn 1 against other aggro decks if you're going second. Because you want to be able to challenge into, like, the Daisy early. You want to be able to challenge into the Piglets and stuff quickly and efficiently. So going second, a lot of times we did want Popsicle on one, into the bell, and then continue on from there. But if you're going first, we'd rather opt for the Patches, the Daisy Ducks, or the Nalas, because those establish our lore gain faster than the bell would. So, but definitely important in a Sapphire aggro list because she can be played for free. So you can utilize your ink to play 2 to 3 characters and then banish a Popsicle, play her, and just really create a huge board state really quickly. After that, of course, we removed the Stitch Rockstar because it's a fun way to draw, great budget way to draw, but Rapunzel ultimately reigns supreme in Amber draw engines. She's just able to be utilized in so many versatile ways, whether that's to heal a character that got challenged, or you challenge in just to put damage on so that way you can heal it up and draw cards. So, for those who are not familiar with Rapunzel, she's a 4-cost inkable 1/5, quests for 2, and has the ability when you play this character, you can remove up to 3 damage from a chosen character that you have, and draw a card for each 1 damage removed this way. So you can draw up to 3 cards off of her. And that's amazing. That's why we have so many, like, 4 willpower and higher characters. Because we can utilize the Nalas, the Daisies, the Gym Deer even, Anna, to challenge into something with 3 strength, put that damage on them, and then play the Rapunzel to remove the damage and draw the cards. We may lose some questing ability that turn, but ultimately, keeping your hand full is the most important portion of running aggro. You don't want to run out of options. You don't want to run out of things to put on the board. So, after that, we still, of course, because we have the patch, we kept Thunderbolt. It is an amazing bodyguard in Amber Sapphire. 3/7 questing for 2. It's just really solid. Another great Rapunzel target because of that 7 willpower. And we had to keep it. You know, we were trying to do puppies as competitive as we could, and so Thunderbolt needed to stay. Then we put in 2 Cogsworth. Cogsworth, as a lot of you know, is a very strong card, especially when a wide board is being presented to you and you don't have a board wipe. So, 5-cost inkable, 2/5, quests for 2, shifts for 3, but we are not even worried about that. Has ward, so again, a character that we play and you can't target it. You know, you can't target it in any way. You have to wait for me to exert it down. And a lot of times we don't exert Cogsworth down until we're winning, because we want his second ability to stay active as long as possible, and that is your other characters gain resist 1. So like I said, we were playing the Anita Radcliffe in the other version to give out resist 1 here and there to some puppies. Well, we traded her out for the Cogsworth because he just gives resist to everybody but himself. Unless you have 2 out, and then, of course, that's just even more ridiculous. But, really strong card, and I feel really necessary. So, after that, we are playing 2 Last Stand. And I know a lot of you are not familiar with the card. Maybe you haven't even seen it before. I've never really seen it play at all. But, it's a 2-cost uninkable action that says banish chosen character who was challenged this turn. We put that in the deck to deal with the Shift Rhino. Shift Rhino is one of the most oppressive shift cards in this game. It is a 4-cost, it's inkable, it quests for 2, it's a 4/3. It shifts in on turn 2, and it has a 1-drop to accompany it, so that way you can go turn 1, the 1-drop, turn 2, shift him in. What makes him so hard to deal with, especially in a deck that we are trying to go fast, we don't really have anything that can challenge into it well, is that it has resist 2, as long as it has no damage on it. So because of that, we would have to commit multiple things. If anything, we'd have to commit a Bell and a Dalmatian puppy to the Rhino, just to get rid of it. And that's if we have that established, and we're able to have that established. Because a lot of decks that run the Rhino also run some removal. They're either Steel Song or they're Amber Steel Aggro. Steel Song has all kinds of removal. Amber Steel Aggro has a little less removal, but still enough to keep our board clean enough to where we can't get rid of that Rhino. So we threw in 2 Last Stand because then we can use characters like Ludwig von Drake. Challenges the Rhino, we ink the Ludwig, and then we Last Stand the Rhino. because then it just banishes it. It helps us kind of take some tempo away from the Amber Steel player, because now their turn 1 and 2 that they dedicated to is gone. And it just really, really, really helpful card. But again, we try to keep the uninkable count low. We don't want too many, so we only ran 2 of them, because really, wildly, that's the only time it's super helpful. There are, of course, a million other ways, other characters that we could just challenge in to get rid of, like a big Sisu, a Fox, things like that. But Last Stand is wildly in there for the Shift Rhino. After that, we played For Sale the Azurite Sea. Depending on our opening hand, ramping on 2 was actually really nice. But wildly, we more used it on turn like 4, 5 to ramp then, because we usually still had cards in the hand. And now that we're entering the late game, we want to be able to play like Thunderbolt with something else, or Cogsworth with something else, to try to prevent Bee King Undisputed or Lady Tremaine from sniping away our cards. Because wildly in the late game, you end up getting into a position where you've got to play one at a time. Against Ruby, that's very dangerous, because they have a lot of ways to handle a one character at a time kind of play style. So a lot of times Sale was used more in that late game or mid game, so we could just push our ink a little further, so that way we could play more than one thing at a time. We didn't really want to cap out at 5, because we didn't want to play Cogsworth by himself, Thunderbolt by himself. We wanted to be able to play like Cogsworth and a Daisy, or Cogsworth and a Jim Deere, or Thunderbolt and a Ludwig. We wanted to always play at least 2 characters at a time, so that way we can keep tempo, and they potentially couldn't get rid of everything at once. So Sale, very important in my opinion. Of course, Popsicle, and then McDuck Manor. Put 3 of those in there, because there's a lot of times with aggro that we get stuck at 16 to 18 lore, because we can't get a character to stick. They have all the removal at the moment, so, or it's hard to reestablish after Be Prepared. McDuck Manor is a perfect card to establish after they wipe your board, especially if they don't have a board presence either. It can push us to the end. So that's why we got 3 of them in there, so that way we can get past the Be Prepared, past the board wipe, and still win and not just get stuck at that like 18, 19 lore that happens a lot when aggro goes against control. So, and then that's it. Really, that's it. This is what we've come up with. I would love to see other versions. So, if you're watching this and you don't agree with some of the things in either deck, the casual version or the more meta version, or you have your own versions, please, I would love to see them. Comment them down in the section below. Share your lists. Let's see what... I would love to see what everybody else is brewing, how your matches go. Are you doing well with it? Did you find a version that... You cracked a version that kind of, is oppressive. You do really well at your locals. You do really well into certain matchups. I would love to hear all of it. The positive, the negative, the things you like, the things you don't like. Yeah, just comment in the section below, or find me on my other socials. I'm on Facebook, Instagram. I'm very active in Discord. And of course, I stream every week on Twitch, 4 to 5 days a week. So it's either Wednesday to Sunday or Thursday to Sunday. Really depends on what I have to do. So like today, this video is coming out on a Wednesday, and not really streaming today because I wanted to get this video to you guys and then prepare for the next theme. So catch me live on Twitch Wednesdays to Sundays to see what new fun theme that we are diving in and trying to come up with, that casual version and that meta version. I invite you all to come give me your feedbacks, help me build these decks. Let's try to make themes as strong as we can, especially going into that rotation with set 9. Things are going to change, themes are going to phase out, new themes are going to present themselves, and let's see if we can finally get theme decks at the top of the meta. I think we can, and I would love to venture with that with you all. So, again, thank you all for joining me for another episodes of Themes and You, and I hope you all have an absolutely great day, weekend, month, whatever it is. Have a good one. See you live on Twitch.